motivation, some meditation, some inspiration, getting into the mentality, getting the universal aspect going, understanding that we are part of this universe and that we're utilizing it. So, if we ask ourselves the question, is what we're doing today motivation? Is it meditation? Is it inspiration? If it's not one of the three, I don't want it. And so, ask yourself that question. Ask yourself, what is it that you're doing every day? What are you doing to bring yourself closer to overcoming your challenge for yourself? And we look at all of the different angles. We look at the mere fact that we have been alive and our lives are worth it. Our challenges are worth it. Our beings are worth it. Our focus is worth it. And so, what is it that you're focused into? What is it that you're going through? One of those things that was brought up in the last hour was about getting through frustration, putting ourselves in a place where we're utilizing our challenges, where we're focusing to the point where the energy inside starts to flow. And so, it was great to be able to do an energy reading and to be able to get on and to start speaking and to get out there and start to put yourself and your mind out there. And a lot of people, they stop themselves from doing that. They stop themselves from speaking their true mind, speaking who they truly are on the inside. And, I challenge that part of ourselves to start to focus to that level. I challenge that part of ourselves to start to grow to that point where where you are the center of your universe, where your universe that flows around you, you are present within your being. And that is to be a blessing in the universe. And each of us are a blessing in this universe. We each have challenges. We each have mentality. It's in the utilization of our challenges. It's in the utilization of our level of focus within ourselves that helps to get us to start studying our challenges. Because when you start to study the things that you're going through and you start to work through them, you start to free your mind, you start to free your being, you start to become a foundation called you. You have lived on the face of the planet for their lifespan. I have lived on the face of this planet for 34 years at this point. And so my point is that each of you have a path, a journey, and a purpose. And are you focused on your path? Like, if I gave you a walking stick and I told you to climb up a mountain, when you first started that, you could only see the top. And as you started to climb to the top, you would start to notice that there would be challenges. But do you stop yourself on your challenges, or do you keep focusing forward? Do you keep climbing that mountain until you get to the top? And that's how I see life, as a journey. I see it as a path. I see it as people that meet each other in this journey as a part of a universal equation. Okay, that you are absolutely a being in this universe, that you absolutely have a path, and that you have a purpose too. And so, when you're in your positions, when you're focused on your tasks, when you're in your places and you choose to do them to the best of your ability, you choose to focus to the best of your ability, the reflection starts to radiate outwards. It starts to work from within out. And we call this focus beyond focus. So focus is the outside focus. What about your inwards focus? What about the person inside of you? What about the challenges that you face off against? And I want to focus into that for a little bit. I want to start to let you see some of these kind of things. I want to start to plead a case with focus, that it can become a foundation. Okay? Star Trek, for instance. They thought about this thing right here, a cell phone. They thought about the cell phone. They had it imagined. Why is it that it took nearly 20 years to make something that they already had the technology to make? Because they were not focus to that level to achieve it. If you want amazing things to be done, folks, if you want to achieve levels where other people are not able to go, continue to focus. Continue to put yourself in a place where you don't wish things happen. You're not a victim to your results. You are a reflection of your mentality. Your challenges are there to teach you how to grow. Your knowledge, your focus, your discipline, your radiating light comes from within you. And so, focusing to that point where you're using what you have is a gift. You started a journey, you started a path, and did you ask yourself, when do I sit down and start to analyze that path? When do I start to write it down? Truly put it in front of myself to where the universe starts to work for me. You know, like on a path to get to the top, you know, they start to build a path. And you can do that with the people that you have around you, your experiences, your challenges. Could help you to build the path through your journey. You know, it's always, we see when people go camping, there's always the person who's not prepared. You know, there's always the person who is prepared. You know, and they see the signs and they learn from the people who are prepared. So when you do something for a first time, which is your life, when you do something like breathe, for instance, that's your own path. That's your own journey. That's your own challenges. And if you see the blessing in those challenges, if you can find a way to turn them to see the positive forces working in your life, then all of a sudden those challenges become a little smaller. You start to become more equipped. You start to overcome the things that you face off against. And we all are going to have challenge. What I'm trying to say is, when do you embrace your challenges? When do you let them become your friends? When do you let the things that you work through allow you to overcome them? Because each of us have challenges. They're yours. They're mine. The way I view it is, I'm searching for positivity in them. I'm searching for a way for those challenges to be turned positive. I'm searching for a way that the results, I'm not surprised that the results came out positive, okay? And I'm not surprised when things start happening. I'm not surprised when a level of focus becomes a vibration, when a radiating light, the being inside, starts to manifest. See, we focus to that point to where we overcome challenge when we overcome them for ourselves, when we see the challenges in front of us are not greater than we are. And that's where the tools that we have inside start to work. It's when the person that you are inside starts to manifest. It's when your being starts to become a tool in the universe. It's when people start to seek you out. It's when the universe yields at that level that focus becomes a foundation. See, it's when your dreams start to become possible. You know, when you start to dream again, when you truly start to dream again, you start to remember your focus, your foundation, your being. You know, each of you have a place in this universe. It's called your path, your purpose, your journey. And we're all searching for a purpose when we should be looking inside of ourselves and creating a reflection. Okay? We should let other people see us as a motivation for being ourselves. And it's inside of that people want to silence that mentality. They want to silence that. They want you to be sheeples. They want you to be people that will follow a herd when you are your own. You are on your path. It is your mountain. You started your path. Nobody else started that path for you. Nobody else can finish that path for you. It's inside of yourself. It's inside of your being. It's inside of your mentality that you are either enabling your mentality. So let's go ahead and start visiting how I started to get an able mentality. When we are in a place where we're using our challenges to our advantage, like for instance in sales, you may be getting your butt kicked. You may be getting your butt handed to you until you're willing to focus. When you are willing to focus, you'll start to notice yourself studying. You'll start to notice yourself writing stuff down. You'll start to notice yourself listening to things. The stuff you learned in school starts to come out, and the parts inside of you start to work. That is you working. That is you working. That is not a cost. It doesn't have a price for your mentality. Mentality is beyond price. Mentality is the ability to be yourself. It's the ability to speak your mind, to be who you are, to face off against your challenges, and to not verse anybody else in them. It's to be you. And a lot of people have misunderstood selflessness for selfishness. See, selflessness is what we want. We want to become ourselves. We want to face off against our challenges. We want to overcome our challenges. We want to not be stopped by the universe and the things that are negative in the universe. We want to be brought closer towards the positive things on our journey. And we each started that journey. We each started our path. We started our purpose. And if we yet but see that we are blessings, and we see that we can use this universe as such a way in which we can recognize that we are daughters and sons of the Most High, that we can become a light in the universe, then maybe this beacon inside might just have a place. Maybe this beacon in your life might just have a place. Your lights might light up inside. Your being might bring you closer to yourself. It's in focusing to that level where we achieve light. It's in focusing to that level where we become a blessing to others. It's when other people see it for themselves. It's not when you speak it out. It's when you focus to the point where it becomes a vibration in other people. And that's what I talk about focus every day. Because I want you to see that motivation, okay, is just a word. It's a word that's been identified for people who focus to the point where others see a reflection of something that's driving them from their level of focus. Doesn't that mean that you can do that too? It means that you can become that too. If you're looking for a motivation, you're ultimately searching out somebody who is so focused into something that they've mastered that. So in other words, what you're looking for is their level of skill from the time they spent focusing on that, which means motivation is a reflection of focus. So if you're in a position and you want to get there for yourself, focus to the point where you become that kind of tool. If you want to be the best singer on the face of the planet, focus to the point where you become that kind of tool. If you want to become the best speaker, focus to the point where you become that kind of tool, where your path, your journey has had preparation, where it's had a purpose, where you see yourself. So let's go ahead and start talking about energy and how it flows. Now, each of us have individual energy fields inside of ourselves the run through sevenfold. Einstein stated that mass and energy are interchangeable. This means that we are both a mass and we are energy. So biblically it talks about our breath. Meditation is mentioned more than 23 times biblically. Okay? So the ignoring of meditation is not biblical. Meditation is biblical, and it even breaks it down to being close to the next breath, which means that we breathe forward. We live forward. Time moves forward. The ability to move forward comes from your level of focus. It comes from your being. It comes from what you think and what you imagine ends up becoming, like a cell phone. Okay? Star Trek is simplicity of this thing right here. They saw this thing before it even existed. They imagined this thing before we even had it. Does that not mean that that capability is inside of yourself if you put yourself in that place? It means that you can. It means that you can imagine your future and you can work towards it. You can focus to the point where it can become possible. And if you put your mind to it, you can achieve it. And yes, it took nearly 20 years to make this thing since that day that they thought about. And at a certain point of focus, this became a reality. So your mind's level of focus has a purpose. And this is an example. So focus to that place where you're using what you have inside and study it. Study that being. Study that person. Become so much into your journey that you find joy in your challenges. That you could see Newton's third law. For each action, there's equal and opposite reaction. Working with your mathematical equation, which is your life. See, each day you get 1 day older. 1 day is added to your tally. At the end, there's an equation. You know, at the end of your path, you get to accept that you lived that long. Even if you're taken before your time, it still was your time because that was your mathematical equation in the universe. Do you see that? Are you recognizing that you have that kind of a path, you have that kind of a journey, that you have a place in this journey, and it is in preparation that we find freedom. When we are prepared to be ourselves, when we are prepared to be in mentality, when we are prepared and we're not fighting a battle versus somebody else. I see so many people want to compare themselves to somebody else. And that's not how the universe truly works. We are who we are on the inside. We are facing off against challenges daily. We are facing off against the thing that we are next to our last breath. And that our days are blessings. So are you a blessing in this universe? Are you bringing other people together by the things that you do? The person that you are? Do you see them light up from your level of focus? Do they become motivated to be themselves by seeing you on your path? You know, that's the types of questions that brought me close to oneself when I was feeling completely abandoned, when I felt that everything was working against me, that I was still positive beyond the challenges, that I was still positive to the point inside where one's level of focus goes past one's challenge, where the being inside starts to vibrate, where the light starts to radiate, where the being starts to become a reflection. And so focusing to that point where it's not a surprise. A lot of people, they let their lives almost in a sense become hijacked. When do you take back control of the steering wheel of your life? When do you give yourself that ability to have an able mentality where you, in a sense, hijack your own life? You take that control back of that steering wheel, that breath inside of yourself. When do you give yourself the ability to become in control? When do you give yourself the the ability to be who you are inside, when you give yourself the ability to go through your challenges and to be that type of person, when do you allow yourself to, if you want a specific diet, do you go on that diet, or does it stop you from achieving it? Or what about when you want things to happen in a certain way? Are you focused to the point where you're not surprised in the results, where the mentality becomes a reflection, where the being inside becomes a tool, where you literally become a tool in the universe, where you use the tools that you have? And what are some of the tools that we learn in school? Those can be applied in our lives. We can write stuff down. We can learn to take notes. Take notes of your life. Take the notes of your life. That's a pretty good one. In fact, take all the notes of your life to the point where you can see them when things happen, to where you can understand them when challenges come, to where you can be prepared on this journey that you're on, that you started, that you breathed your first breath with. Connect to that level of simplicity every day and watch what happens around you. Now, let's start talking a little bit about daddy meditation. So, meditation gives you the ability to see who you are on the inside. It gives you the ability to sit down with who you are and to start to get down with the student inside of yourself. The student who is waiting to overcome your challenges, waiting to overcome the things that you would want to go through inside of yourself. And so when we start to go through challenges and we sit next to that biblically written word, reverence in the next breath, you know, it's amazing that you can be still inside and have a lot going on inside of yourself and overcome your challenges within you, and the reflection radiate outwards. So each individual energy field is important. Each breath that you have is important. Each challenge that you face off against is important. Your being is important. And so when we're utilizing meditation, we are, in essence, overcoming our challenge to be ourselves. We're overcoming the parts inside of ourselves where we are searching to be a reflection outwards. And it's inside of ourselves that we overcome those types of things, and then they start to become a vibration. Okay? And what we vibrate out can actually help us to become a happier person inside. And when we focus to that point where we manifest that inside of ourselves, then what we have going on around us just becomes a reflection. And inside of one's understanding of focus, you find yourself. You find that you're worth it, that your being is worth it. And each of you are a blessing in this universe. A lot of us have been stopped by other people from being who we are. We've been stopped from other people from being who we are in the universe. Now, when you see past people's opinions to the positive and negative forces in the universe, it is written literally, biblically, that God divided the light from the dark. So that means that there have been light workers across the face of the planet since the beginning of time. Okay? And this is written biblically. It is written biblically that knowledge is liberation. It is written biblically that when you start to see past your own opinion, you see from a universal aspect created by the Most High. So this isn't against the Creator, this is for the Creator. Okay? It is for the ability to see at that level of focus is how one operates on positivity. And so, you see, a lot of people forget that dividing of the light from the dark before the choice was ever made. Do you go to that place? Do you go to that depth where that point inside comes out that these are either positive or negative things happening inside of this here universe? And so focusing to that level where you're utilizing it at that level challenges the mentality of people who would say otherwise. Because either science and religion are one, or both of them don't exist. So either they're a part of the same thing and have remnants in each other, or they don't exist. And I can tell you, when scientists like Newton come up with understandings of negative and positive forces in the universe, a body in motion stays in motion, positivity is a vibration. When these types of things start to become realized, when the energy inside of yourself even is shown on a heat scanner, thousands of years after people knew that the energy inside of you even had the color, so that they do, that the colors have a relation with your being, that they have a relation with your vibration, it becomes unignorable that we are a blessing. It becomes unignorable that we are a part of this universe. It becomes unignorable that we have a reflection. And so it is inside biblically. You could type the word in, reflection. You will find so many quotes that talk biblically exactly about what I'm talking about from a universal aspect. And so let's go ahead and do that. Let's go ahead and pull that up so I can go ahead and show you this. Okay, so I want you to see what I'm talking about. It shows more than 100 times, 100 verses, self-reflection. Okay. So this is 100% biblically provable that what I'm talking about is universal understanding. That is the reason why they call the Alpha the Omega. It is up to you to want to achieve that place inside of yourself to understand what I'm talking about. I will say this again. There is over 100 verses about self-reflection inside the Bible. Over 100 verses that talk about that. So what I'm talking about is biblically provable. Okay? And it's inside of the breakdown of that positivity lays. In fact, when you see that the choices had to be made after the fact, you complete the case that what truly existed was light and dark. And so at that point of understanding, that is when the true ones that are not babies that are talked about in there start to open up in this universe. Okay? When you start to see your path, that's the purpose why it said don't judge. See, that's the purpose, because that light and darkness that was divided is forgot about, because they follow one part after that where the choice, before the choice, there was the light. Remember that. Remember that before there was that choice, there was the light, which means that choice then created a word afterwards. Okay? So I challenge that I challenge that to a level of positivity. I challenge that to a level that existed before the word even existed. And I don't mean the word Jesus. I mean the word good. What I'm talking about is the being in this universe to be present within yourself comes from a foundation that goes beyond where other people would look to see the positive things that you are a blessing in this universe. And so, what I'm talking about cannot be ignored. I'm talking about positivity to a point that you see things happening in your life. You see your challenges start to become overcome. You start to see yourself achieve that position in your families, in your homes, in your lights. Okay? Your light in your being. And a lot of people face off against this thing called anxiety. They're worried about what's going on around them. And it's interesting because then they look at those who search inwards and they see that the real battle is inside of yourself. It's inside of your mind. It's when you free this thing that the universe starts to utilize you. And so, energy inside of oneself. Here's an example. Ready? 8 biblical verses on the importance of self-examination. So if you were going to take an exam in your life, would you want to study before you took the exam, or would you want to take the exam before you study? There we go. Self-reflection. Verses about reflection, there's over 100. And we are created in God's image. That is a reflection. That is a direct biblical quote proving what I'm talking about is correct. And it is known beyond. So this is not new age stuff. What I'm talking about right now has been known for a very, very, very long time. It has been on the face of the planet since the beginning of time. What are we talking about? We're talking about how we can get to the place where we become blessings, where we are inside of ourselves and we're vibrating light, where what we're doing is we're becoming that gift in the universe that you were intended to be, where your being starts to radiate at a level where reflection comes from within you, where self-examination, where the student and the teacher live inside of yourself, where it's important, where it's biblically 8 times written plus about self-examination, self-study, self-being, self-understanding. And it's inside of that place that we find ourselves. It's inside of that place where the relationship with the Most High God builds. It's inside of that allowing the universe to work with us and to be a part of this universe that we radiate light outwards. And each of us have challenge. And it's worth it. I'm telling you. When you sit down and you have the results come back from the exams that you go through, did you sit down and examine it? Did you sit down and think through it? Did you put yourself on a page where you deserve the A? Or did you just get the B because you're just trying to get by? Sometimes we just try to slide by. We just try to just do just enough to get by. Or do we focus to the point where we get it? Where we sit down inside of ourselves and we see that this is just a part of our path. This is just first grade work, guys. The people who are on top, the ones that are achieving the top, they already been through this page. They already know this. They've been working at this for some time. They've been allowing the universe to work through them. They watch those people who are sitting and working on those hourly wages as people that are still stuck. Okay? And when we free ourselves to that level where we focus through those types of things, where we're no longer searching for somebody else to do it for us, we're becoming it ourselves, we're achieving it within ourselves, we're taking that kinds of exams that are written biblically, going into self-understanding. You know, some of you might be the best at healing with different types of things. You might be the best of healing with the mind. You might be the best of healing with the body. You might be the best at healing with the water. You know, there's surfers out there, for instance. They connect with the water in such a way that it's almost like they've become one with the elements. They've become one with the universe. And even that is in quotes in the biblical too. So many things that I talk about is 43 Bible verses about the universe. Okay, 43 verses about the universe. In fact, let me go ahead and see if I can find some of these so you can actually see exactly what I'm talking about. And this has to deal with tarot card readings. This has to do with star readings. This has to do with energy readings. Genesis 1:14. And God said, "Let there be light, and in an expanse of the heavens to separate the day from the night, and let them be for signs and seasons, and for days and years." So God created the days and the years. He also created the signs and the seasons. Okay? So there is mention in the Bible about colors of light in the Bible. This means that there's proof of these energies in the Bible. Okay? There's proof of these places within biblical writings. And so when we focus to that page where we're using it at that level, he determined the number of the stars. He gives to all of them their names. I believe that we turn into stars in the sky. Okay? Because the heavens and the earth and the firmament was divided from the earth. So this means that we have to be in the heavens, which means that the stars, when you transcend this being, there's a star for you. And so that is a blessing to have that kind of an understanding, to be on that kind of a page with that kind of universal place. Okay? And it is written so many times it's unignorable what I'm talking about. It's unignorable with the proof that I talk about biblically, that we don't have a reflection, that we are not universal blessings, that the mentality comes from positive and negativity. It's beyond good and bad. Good and bad is just a choice. What you choose. When you see positive things move in your life, when they move through you, when the blessings start to come through you, and yeah, I'm not that person to sit there and Bible thump people. I got a relationship with the Most High God. I got a relationship on this face, this planet, and it is to be a motivation, a meditation, and an inspiration as a reflection, which talked about biblically more than 100 times. And so when people see that inside of ourselves, when they see that inside of their being, when they go beyond their own challenges and they focus to that point where they're focused beyond what's going on around them and what's going on inside is greater, then the reflection starts to radiate outwards. It's when you start to feel your growth start to happen. And so let's talk about this now. When did you sit down with yourself and study you? When was the last time you gave yourself a little bit of time to breathe, to become close to your breath, to become a blessing in the universe, to have a place, to have a purpose that you already have? You already have a right to be yourself. You already are sons and daughters of the Most High. Have you seen the positivity? Have you heard the positive things that come from within? Have you manifested your being? Have you become that kind of light in the universe to where your being radiates light outwards, to where you even acknowledge the 11 verses that talk about the universe and the importance in this universe of years, of days, of being, and of understanding that you are a blessing. And it is for you to find within yourself that place. I want you to read this. Universal power. Ready? Lift up your eyes high and see who created these. He who brings out of the host by number, calling them all by name, by the greatness of his might, and because he is strong in power. Okay, we have universal power. You read it here, you're hearing what I'm saying. Isaiah 40:26. We have universal power, guys. We are a part of that connection with the Most High God. Isaiah 26 proves that we are universal beings. Okay? So if there's a scientific aspect that somebody wants to go off of, then energy in itself, in the essence of ourselves, proves that understanding is there. That universal understanding is biblical. And it is so beautiful that these verses go along with the understanding inwards. It's almost as if I could pick up almost everything and see this page of blessings that we are. And I'm grateful for the gift to be able to help people to see that you can be yourself, that what I talk about can be used, and it is provable. And meditation is biblical, guys. And it is more than just biblical. It's across the face of the planet. It's from the London buildings where, the British Museum has paintings of, those people with white auras around them. You go to India, you will find different color auras. In fact, the whole being is engulfed in the aura. You go anywhere on the face of the planet, you're going to find this universe as a blessing. And so, do you see that light, that energy, that being, that purpose, those mountains, those trees, those things as life forms, as energy, as power within the universe? And do you dominate your own being? Do you become who you are on the inside? Do you connect with your knowledge, your focus to that level where you tap into what you are? Because you already are that kind of blessing. You already have those kind of challenges. You already have the positive and negative forces working, and it's inside of that they've even created, shows and movies. Focus to that point where you achieve you is a blessing, where you see the beauty inside of you, where you see the relationship with the Most High God as a process working with you. And we have that ability inside of ourselves to reach to that level. I believe in mankind. I believe that we could focus to that point. I believe that knowledge and focus is inside of us all. As I sat inside of a sauna with somebody with a high level of autism, and he sat down right next to me and said, "Can I learn to meditate with you?" And I sat there and I taught him. And he went beyond the physicality. He went beyond the challenges, and he sat there and did meditation with me. I am reminded that the mind is what enables the body, that the body is a reflection of the mind, that What you believe about yourself becomes a reflection outwards, and that is how we become blessings in this universe. That is how knowledge and focus get centered inside of yourself. How your being starts to become such a light, it starts to become such a path, you start to become such a purpose. Your journey starts to have its place, starts to have its purpose. And you start to ask yourself the question, can I help other people to achieve it for themselves? And that, my friends, is an inspiration. I just want to leave you all with a blessing. I want you to be uplifted in your days. I want you to see that. I will leave an energy reading open for a few more minutes before I close out here on this hour. So anybody who's looking to call in to get an energy reading, it's fine. If not, that's okay too. But recognize that universal energy is available for us all. It is there. It is in your life. It is breathing through your body. It is in your being. That it is not biblical to believe in yourself. It is absolutely 100% biblical to believe in yourself. So anyone tells you that you're selfish for being you, tell them, did they read the 8+ verses that talks about self-examination? Did they read the verses that talk about universal biblical proof? Or are they ignorant to being who they are on the inside? Are they ignorant to the blessings that they are? Do they not hear the things that, like, not judging? Do they not hear the being that they are? Do they face a battle against somebody else, or is it you versus you? You finding positivity in your life, you bringing the people in your life that are meant to be in your life, or are those people that you are letting in your life become your life? Because you only got you. You ain't got nothing else. When you leave all this, it ain't following you. It's not going with you. It's going to break down at a certain point. Your energy is going to move on. It's going to go to the place where it's meant to go. Okay? You are a being. You are a universal being. You are a blessing in this universe. You have a path. You have a purpose. And I want you to see that for yourself. I want your days to become blessing. I want your weeks to become blessing. I want your lives to become blessing. And I just want to close with that and say blessings to